Mr. Parakeet, before we begin, do you have anything you would like to say?
Mr. Parakeet, people claim you have the cleanest record of all the candidates. What do you have to say about this?
Mr. Candidate, what are your best traits for being president?
Mr. Parakeet, what are your trade policies with China?
Mr. Parakeet, how would you describe Joe Biden?
Mr. Parakeet, how would you describe President Trump's vocabulary?
Mr. Parakeet, there are terrible riots happening in some of our big cities. What is your solution to the uprisings?
Excuse me, Mr. Parakeet, could you please focus and tell us what your policies are?
Mr. Parakeet, do you think the American people will be happy if either Trump or Biden win the election?
Mr. Parakeet, what would you like to say to people who disagree that a parakeet should be running for president?
Mr. Parakeet, what do you think of the candidates for this election?
Mr. Montoya, what's the scariest thing you've ever said to a six-fingered man?
Mr. Parakeet, what can you as a parakeet do once you get in office?
Mr. Parakeet, what are your thoughts on Michelle Obama's school lunch program?
Mr. Parakeet, what would you say to people who don't plan on voting this year?
Many people have said that November through January will be a tumultuous time for America. What do you think? Mr. Budgie, would you like to share with us your favorite song?
Mr. Parakeet, what do you think of Donald Trump?
Mr. Parakeet, what is your campaign slogan?
What's one thing you would like to say to your supporters?
Mr. Candidate, are you sure your policies are good enough to get you elected as president?
Mr. Parakeet approves this message.